Trevithick Abdi, Dannyman here. Hope you're all doing well, and yes, the time has finally come to get the first episode of Transport Fever 2 around the world in time. So today's episode is going to take place in 1802. Yes, this says 1900. Don't know why. 1850. 1850 is as low as we can go. We can't get down to the 1800s, well, to early 1800s or 1802. But I will keep track of the years as we're sort of going along. Now we're down here at Telford, which is the starting area. Just south of Telford is a little area called Coalbrokedale, and it's a historic area. There was the Coalbrokedale iron furnace, and they mined iron ore from a gorge which was called the Iron Gorge, that was just near where Coalbrokedale and Telford is. So Coalbrokedale is just on the River Severn, which sort of runs past here and then goes around that way and sort of runs down that way and then goes up and heads up towards Shrewsbury and then up to Chester, etc, etc. So we're going to be starting down here in the year 1802, where an engineer by the name of Richard Trevithicks built the first ever steam locomotive. Now we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll go into details about the train, but first of all we need a makeshift steel mill. Now hold on, makeshift steel mill, where art thou? There we go. We'll take this one. This one does the good old slag as well, that you can convert into construction materials. Right, we'll place that just there for the moment. Basically a placeholder at the moment. Rails, waypoints, buildings. We want freight buildings, and we want that's depots. Close but no cigar there. Right, this one is perfectly suited for what we need to do at the moment. Now, freight terminals often don't have platforms. True story. It's just rail and then ground, and then whatever it's unloading just gets shifted onto the ground right next to where it is. Track length, we'll say, I don't know, 80. Yes, 80. There we go. And then that is set up. The Coalbrokedale iron furnace. Obviously this is a bit new age, but I'll find a way to work around it. And then we'll sort of go up here, and then we shall build. Keep going to towns. Don't know why I keep going to towns. There's the standard steel mill. We're just looking for a standard iron mine. There it is. Spin you round. Voila. And we'll place another one of those stations right next to it. Awesome. Now, as you can see, it's just a teeny tiny short journey, because the first ever steam trains did not go very far, and they did not haul an exceptional amount of goods. By today's standard, by the standard of the day, it was an exceptional amount of goods. They often used horses, or the horse tramways or horse trains, which required a lot of horses, and I'm not sure if they could actually haul that much. Maybe they could, maybe they could not. Don't really know. There is stuff on Wikipedia. Lots of places in the world adopted the horse tramway or the horse train. It originated in Germania, in Germany, I believe, or according to Wikipedia, it started off in Germany, where someone thought lashing a bunch of horses together, having them on a fixed rail, having them haul more goods than a standard cart could on a roadway was a good idea. And it turns out it was a good idea. So we need to build a depot. Depot. Yes. Buildings. Go into buildings, you nugget. There we go. So we'll just take this one. We will spin it round. It should hopefully go into here, and then there we go. So just a little short journey. There we go. The Trevithick's locomotives. Now this is a mod by Steve M4. It's the Steve M4's Trevithick's locomotives collection. It's got the 3 locomotives that I made. We're here in 1802. Let's see, they're the world's first steam locomotive. It doesn't go very quick, but it didn't need to. There was no competition. Yes, indeed. Now we'll get into more details about the train once we sort of get rolling. Also part of this pack is this, the tramway wagons, which are awesome because they fit perfectly onto this train. Now it says it can take cars here, but I would highly doubt that. And I would highly doubt that it could take a capacity of 8 cars. Maybe some minis or something. But it's still got a power capacity of 8, excellent, which is awesome. 8 miles per hour. Actually, let's look at the stats of our Coalbrokedale 1802. 8 miles per hour, 14 kilowatts of power, 2.3 kilonewtons of tractive effort. Emissions, I would imagine, would probably be quite high. It had a lifespan of 29 years and ran till was kept until 1855. I think they're all done that. I think, well, we'll go into details about the train, but there are the stats of our Coalbrokedale 1802. Now we need to create a line for it, which will be fine. So a new line. Voila. And up to the iron gorge there. Voila. Awesome. And we'll set our train to go. Where's the depot? Buy vehicles. I didn't actually buy the vehicle. Good start. 1, 2, buy. Let's set it to go. So you are going on line 1. Right, there we go. Let's see the train come out. Now the trains or vehicles always seem to do this weird lag when they come out of a depot. It's totally fine, it sorts itself out. I am recording in 2K. I'm playing the game in 4K, but I'm recording the game at 2K. Because trying to record the game in 4K, nah, the PC just absolutely despised and hated it. So we've brought it down to 2K. But here's our lovely train. It's a beautiful model. I love this this sort of gear, this traction wheel here. And obviously the piston goes back and forth and turns this gear, which turns these wheels. And this is just for, this is just to move the piston back and forth. Awesome. Right, but we'll get into the details of the train in a minute. We'll let it go. But first of all, there's one thing I have to do. And voila, fixed. So, if we zoom out, a few things have changed. Right, so this is now, we've got rid of the other industry, and I've done a bit of detailing just around the area where the train and stuff sort of operates. This is now the Coalbrokedale iron furnace. It actually works really well. If we go into mods here, this is the freestyle industry. Now the freestyle industry allows you to place a block like so. You can actually make the block smaller as well, and you can pick inputs and outputs for it. So this one is a single input to give you an output. This freestyle one just gives you an output or a single input, and they all do different things. So we're going to be using this a lot to start with, and we're going to sort of be building our own industry. So this is the sort of Coalbrokedale iron furnace. I've tried to sort of maybe use assets that are more keeping in time with the early 1800s. Again, it's got 1900 down here, yeah, because some of the assets I needed to use did not appear till later on, which is something that is very tricky with the assets. Some of them appear in different time scales, which is a real nightmare. But yeah, here's our Coalbrokedale iron furnace. We've got the sort of administration building there. We've got a few buildings with smokestacks melting down iron ore or whatever. We have Richard Trevithicks Coalbrokedale 1802. Now we'll get into detail on that in a minute, because we'll jump on the train and let it go. Heading down, we have Coalbrokedale. Now, I wanted to make this a kind of dockyard, and I was going to put ship assets on the side, and then we were going to unload coal. This is temporary. This is sort of unfinished for the moment, but there's an issue. So if we go to ships, right, and we go to the ship assets, you can't place these. So the highest they go is 5, right? And that's way under the map. So it was a problem, because I wanted to place a couple of these along the side and have them unloaded. We've got the assets to sort of for tying them up, the tires, the stuff like that. But yeah, some other ship assets do work and you can raise the height of them, but these ones don't. Now, this is water, but this is water paint, because as you can see, this is pretty deep, but we have to go way, way down. Give me that, right? So if we go all the way down, right, so there is where sea level is, all the way down there. It's way it's way too far down for me to really do anything about it. That is a problem with transport fever in general. So I am gonna finish this river and take it out and do the painting, and we'll build something over this side. But this was taking an extremely long time. Once I realised how difficult it was actually going to be, it became a sort of nightmare. But yeah, if we go over right to the south of the map, down to where Wales is, right, this is sea level. And as you can see, this climbs up rapidly. Now, that was my fault for doing, for the map editor. But there's another problem as well. So when you are importing maps, you can go in and get your grayscale map. You can sort of take a black marker and go around where sort of rivers should be, because the black marker will indicate that they are extreme low levels of terrain, possibly at sea level or below, and then you can sort of mark it out on your grayscale map before exporting it to Transport Fever. I've done that several times. It sometimes looks okay, it sometimes doesn't work at all. When you're in the map editor, you can lower the height of the terrain. You can raise the sea level. It causes problems though. In areas that are sort of mountainous, if you lower the terrain too much, you don't get mountains. You just get these sort of slopes and hills that aren't very good. If you raise the sea level up too much, you basically flood the map. So even with the highlighted black lines that are created in your map before export to show rivers and stuff, yeah, it just sort of overflows. Like when I was trying to get this river done around here, it basically flooded like this whole area. All these flat bits were flooded, which was a real nightmare. Now I could have just left it like that, got a terrain tool, and then it got rid of all the water, but it took so long. So I just left it as is. Now obviously this is the first map we're playing on, so I can actually go in and adjust the other maps as well when I need to. So yeah, for this map, the Chester to Gloucester section of the UK, we're just going to have to build it like this. We'll raise up the banks. We'll use the paint tool to create sort of rivers. And it should hopefully work. But we can't place the ships. Unfortunately, ships have to be placed on water. So if I go down here again, right, we go to our ship D asset. Pick the Viola just for reference. So there it is. And that's it at height 5. Now at height 5 you could possibly sort of run it aground and have it be like a shipwreck or something, but it needs to spawn on water. If I push the up and down, nothing. If we put it to 0 height, there it is. Oh no, it's actually -1 for water. I forget. But yeah, there it is. So they only just spawn at sea level, and you can only raise them 5 increments above it. So I can't raise the ship assets high enough to sort of plop them down in my little Coalbrokedale River Severn here. Was kind of annoying, but there's not much I can do about it. I've looked for other ship assets. Maybe something will come along later. We just don't know. But down here at Coalbrokedale, ignore this texture here that looks like it's sort of attacking space-time from like the 5th dimension. I don't know why it does that. But yeah, down here as well is another freestyle industry underneath this building, and it's basically called Coalbrokedale Coal Docks. So what we would have had is ships here unloading coal and then have the coal stored here. I was going to build some more warehouses and stuff over here, but once I realised that the water was going to be extremely difficult, I sort of got frustrated and gave up because I was annoyed. So we've got some residential buildings here in Coalbrokedale. These are the medieval asset buildings, which are really marvellous, I must say. They are awesome. So we've got like a town square here, we've got a little church. This here is a gasworks, or I've named it Coalbrokedale Coal Works. Now this will take coal, so there is a little route, as you can see. There are little trucks, or little horse and carts, sort of riding around. If we can find them. Where are they all? There's one there. Hello. So they pick up coal from here, and then they go around and drop it off here, and this creates fuel. Oh yeah, there's a couple here as well. So some of them are taking different routes. That's weird. Okay, each to their own. So yeah, they drop off coal here. Now these are actual assets as well that I just planted inside this industry. I believe that this large open space is great for adding stuff. Now these look more old school. They're very rusty and stuff, so maybe this stack here is maybe a bit new age, but definitely these buildings would be in time with sort of the 1800s. I'm not sure about the dock cranes, although I know 1800 had dock cranes on it, so I just placed a dock crane there and placed another crane over there, and they've got the buckets for picking up coal and stuff. So yeah, the medieval buildings look great. This is a hotel, as you can see. The thing is, the UK and a lot of places in Central Europe still have a lot of towns and cities, smaller villages that have the medieval style buildings because they've been fortunate enough to avoid the axe when it came to city upgrades and modernization. And some of the older buildings still live. Definitely in the UK, some like places like York and stuff have the like super old buildings. So heading up from Coalbrokedale, I am going to add some farms in here, some farms over there. So we've got our iron furnace, we've got a couple of farms here. Again, this barn is probably more of a German, Swiss, Austrian sort of barn you would see up in the Alps, but it's the only thing we've got to work with at the moment. So as you can see, there's some farmers and stuff in there. We've got a wheat field, there's another farm over here. Different soil, terrains and stuff, lots of trees and bush assets. We have a livestock farm over here with the good old cows. There's just a farmer staring at a pile of hay there. And yeah, this is a livestock farm. Now we've got the coach works here. Now the coach works is where we can buy our road vehicles for the moment, because they're coaches. Now ignore the modern military vehicles, they spawn in straight from the 1850s. Now I have activated Asian, European and American vehicles because right at the start I want a variation of wagons. Maybe not this Asian horse-drawn carriage, but the horse-drawn carriage from Europe and the one from America are very similar. They just have different coloured tarpaulin, and the horse-drawn wagon is an asset. Now it's the same for passengers, because what I noticed is in Europe we only have this, right? So this is the stagecoach. Now this would have been more for like upper class or moving from city to city. It would not have been great for transporting workers, especially ones that are working at coal mines, iron mines, coal furnaces, steel mills, all that sort of places. The workers would be, there were no showers back in that day. The workers would be incredibly dirty. I would imagine inside this thing would become incredibly dirty as well. But America has this standard horse-drawn open-top carriage, which is great. It fits perfectly for transporting workers back and forth. Now, if I go, I forgot to mention this. So you can set the freestyle industries to accept the workers. There we've got a bus stop here. There is people being unloaded. Basically class this as people going to the administration building, but there is another one that is a sort of open top. I don't know where it is. It's over here somewhere or over there. Yeah, there it is there. So this one is bringing the workers. These ones here, these other yellow ones and red stagecoaches, this is obviously American, but it fits in just fine. These are moving between Coalbrokedale and a little bus stop over here. So Coalbrokedale Central is a bus or stagecoach from Telford to Coalbrokedale, and people can run back and forth. And then we've got our goods wagons sort of rolling around here. Now that's, yeah, see, they're just different colours, exactly the same asset, just a different colour tarpaulin. So it's nice to have the sort of variation. So yeah, we've got an intercity bus running back and forth between Coalbrokedale and Telford. We have a bus that takes workers to the Coalbrokedale furnace. We have another bus that goes from Telford up to the iron mine, which we're getting to in just a minute. But this is Telford. So we've got a little bus stop here. I've got another one over there. Obviously, if we click on Telford, there is nothing. There's no shopping facilities, no residents, no workplaces. But I've set these assets to hold residents and stuff, and it seems to be working just fine. As you see, people are spawning in. People are walking around. Some of them actually walk to the furnace. It is actually in range, so that is totally fine. But yeah, I thought it would be a good idea to have that. Now I don't know how this is going to work in terms of other horse and carts, cars, etc. later on down the line. I have created this road here that connects up to Shrewsbury in an attempt that some of the AI from there will come along and we'll get a variation of different sort of horse and carts rolling around. There is other things like people magnets and sort of industrial, residential and commercial areas that you can place that function, but we'll get to that later. So Telford has a mix of the sort of medieval stuff. It's got some newer 1850s buildings in here as well. As you can see, as we move further out, the buildings start to get sort of newer, away from the medieval stuff. I've got some paths and stuff. I've left this area open because I don't know what to put in here. I was going to put like a manor house or something with a nice garden with hedges. I've left this area here free for expansion, and this area out here is going to be free for expansion as well. Because I don't know how the future is going to roll. Telford actually does have a train station up at the top here, so later on when trains become more prominent, we'll have to build a station in here. So I didn't want to build too much out and too many farms and things like sort of over here, because later on I'm just going to have to possibly delete them. So there is Telford. Here is another farm. There's some of the workers heading up to the Iron Gorge. Here's our line up to the Iron Gorge. There is a horse tram, which we'll see in just a minute. We've got this area which is sort of like an old abandoned mining post. There are a few people still here, but most of the things have been taken away. And then we continue up the hill and we get to Coalbrokedale Iron Gorge. Now, it's supposed to be an iron gorge, but it's more like iron hilltop. Because, yeah, trying to build all this stuff inside a gorge was going to be difficult. So again, just lots of different industry assets. They look really good. They should hopefully be appropriate for the times. This worker perhaps maybe looks a bit clean to be working in an iron gorge. We've got horse stables and stuff. We've got horse wagons, another barn, sort of open air barn over there. These are supposed to be iron deposits. They're supposed to be mined out, and this is supposed to be like quarried stone. I wasn't really happy with the way the sort of rocks worked, and I kind of wanted to change it, but just ended up leaving it. And I didn't know what to do for the top of the hills, so I just sort of added trees around the area because I had no idea what to do. So there's a little sort of house building, administration building up here as well. And that's about it for the assets. So this again has got a freestyle industry right here, and it produces iron ore. And the horse tram and our Coalbrokedale 1802, which I've had running for quite a while now, does actually pick stuff up. So we'll go back to the train, we'll jump on board, and we'll take a ride up to the mine. As you can see, the iron is being deposited over here, which is kind of a problem because it's starting to cover up quite a lot of my assets and stuff, and it's starting to clip through stuff. The fuel just gets burned instantly, so it's not piling up, and I don't know where the steel stockpile is either. I've no idea where that is. I would imagine that the iron is stored here, fuel is stored in the middle, and iron ore is sort of stored, iron or steel beams is stored over here. But I just don't know. So we'll jump on the train, and then we'll go into detail on push plate, jump on board. I won't jump on board. I might do a separate video and do a drive-by, an actual on board on the train. But for right now, we'll just follow it and look at the scenery as it goes past. So, Richard Trevithicks Coalbrokedale of 1802 was actually built at Coalbrokedale Iron Furnace. There was a workshop there. That's where the steam engine was built. Now, there was another guy, a Scottish guy, Murray, who made like a model steam engine. Obviously, it wasn't a functioning steam train like this was, but yeah, this is where it was built, at Coalbrokedale Iron Furnace. Now, there is a record of Richard Trevithick building it there and sort of testing it, but there was no record of it actually doing any work there. So we don't know if it actually worked the line or did anything. There was already a horse tramway in place that was running iron ore from the Coalbrokedale Iron Gorge to the furnace. So in theory, on Wikipedia, it says that those are the tracks that they sort of used to test it. But for the purposes of this video, because we need the train to go somewhere, we will have it go on a journey up to the Iron Gorge and load up. But yeah, so there was also a record, or there wasn't a record, but there was a claim that there was an American steam train that was made before this one. But there is no living record or documented record of it. And as we all know in history, if there's no record, then it didn't really happen. All you can sort of do is theorize, and then it's all down to rumour and hearsay. So because there was no record of that, the first ever steam train went to this, the Coalbrokedale 1802. And it is beautiful. It's a real beast. It's awesome. So here we go. We're passing the horse train, or the horse tram. That asset is really good as well. These wagons work really well with these horse trams. I think maybe the wagons came with the horse tram. Or did they come with this collection? I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, so there's Telford in the background as well. Looking nice. We've got some plants and flowers. We've got the tree line up here. There are some workers heading off on horse carriage to the top of the hill. Now, if we look at this, it actually does 8 miles per hour. It doesn't really get phased by this hill at all, which is kind of weird. But it's good. It's progress. I mean, for the horses, it's make or break. Because nowadays, when a human gets replaced at their workplace by a machine, it's bad. That's another person on the unemployment line. And the only way to sort of combat that is to sort of become, either pick up a new trade or become the master of the machines. Either be involved in the maintenance, the mechanics, electronics, the programming of those machines. And then you'll have a job for life, because those machines will always need maintained, even though they basically killed your previous job in the first place. But for the horses, it's different. The horses are doing back-breaking work, hard labour, hauling wagons up and down a hill. So if this is successful for them, it's fantastic. They're going to love it. They're going to be on easy street, because their job, their horrible back-breaking work, is being replaced by a machine. Now, obviously, as we know, it took a long time for horses to be replaced as the mainstay of tractive sort of hauling power. It took a long time for them to be replaced by steam engines. So we will see horses for many years to come. But for them, this, Richard Trevithicks 1802, was a godsend. Because their workload would be severely reduced come time, and they'd be on easy street. And it's a great design, this. I mean, obviously, he must have improved it with the next two. And then you've obviously got things like Robert Stevens' rocket and stuff. The birth of a steam train. It's amazing. But we're almost there. We are heading up into Coalbrokedale Iron Gorge. I don't know. Yeah, people actually do use this bus. This bus is actually, there's the little bus stop for Coalbrokedale Iron Gorge, and then they sort of come off here and then walk to the industry. I've created a little path for them to do so, to get to over here. And it involves using these wooden crossings as well. And these little wooden crossings actually work. Yeah, it's awesome. Now, the weird thing is, my sort of person asset, the one that gives me the standard in-game people assets for the different areas, is not working. It never seems to appear, no matter how many times I reload the game. We are getting some weird artifacting over there. As I said, this recording is in 2K because my PC absolutely despised the 4K recording. I can play it. I'm playing it in 4K just now, 60 frames plus. But yeah, to record it, it needs to be in 2K. Because the recorded section is literally terrible. And when it renders, it looks. I've tried to do this episode a couple of times and render it, and I've given up and dropped everything down to 2K, which I've looked at a lot of other YouTubers that do Transport Fever as well, and most of them just do the sort of 2K uploading to YouTube. There are some that have got 4K, but those are like for little tiny little segments, short little videos. Maybe of a train going down a line, past some high detailing on a map that they've done. But yeah, for really long videos, yeah, 4K is bad. It's bad, people. Every other game I've recorded so far works totally fine in 4K. Barkosaurus, Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic, played and recorded in 4K. However, Transport Fever, being the sort of PC utilization hog that it is, just does not like being recorded in 4K. You can record it in 4K. I can record small, like 5-minute sections, and it works just fine. But any sudden dip in frame rate, then man, the recording goes back to slideshow, and it's real bad. The game plays fine. It's just the recording goes to slideshow. I've tweaked OBS many times to try and fix it, increasing bit rates and everything way past what they should be. So yeah, we've given up and gone for 2K. So there we go. There's our first little journey on the Coalbrokedale 1802, Richard Trevithicks' first engine and the first steam engine, recorded steam engine, on planet Earth, running from Coalbrokedale Iron Gorge to Coalbrokedale Iron Furnace. Now there's lots more to do, but we will be moving on to another map imminently, well, in the next episode, because the next map, or the next train, is the Richard Trevithicks Penny Darren, which worked in a mine up in Wales beside Mither Tidfall. So we'll be going on to the Welsh map there, and we'll be starting there. Again, we'll build up a sort of coal mine. We'll build up sort of Mither Tidfall around it. I need to go into Wikipedia. I have been doing a lot of research for all of these trains, but I need to find out where it actually. So it picked up coal from the mine, but where did it actually take it? I don't know. But yeah, so that is going to be it for the first ever episode of Transport Fever 2 Around the World in Time. As always, if you did watch this and you would like to leave a like, comment or dislike, please feel free to do so. And if there is more you would like to see in the future, then hit the subscribe button. But I've been Danny Min, and I will catch you later.